She was born the same day her mother died. And from that day her life became a story of pain. Ignored, beaten, starved. But what they didn't know was that the girl they tried to break would one day become a voice for the voiceless. Her mother died giving birth to her, but her stepmother made her life a nightmare. Watch till the end to feel what true healing looks like. Hello family, before we start this intriguing story, we will like you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified once we drop new story. Also comment the time you are watching this and country you are watching from. Rain pelted the rusty roof of a small village hut in Onitsha. Inside, screams of pain echoed through the night. A woman, Neka, was in labor, her skin glistening with sweat, her breath shallow. A midwife barked instructions while two lanterns flickered weakly in the corners. "Push, Neka. Push," the midwife yelled. Neka gritted her teeth and gave one final cry. A loud wail pierced the air, not hers but a newborn's. "It's a girl," the midwife declared. But as the baby cried louder, Neka's body went still. Her eyes stared blankly at the ceiling and her lips parted, but no sound came out. Neka was gone. Outside, the storm raged on as if the heavens mourned her. The next morning, Chinedu, Neka's husband, sat outside the hut, a baby wrapped in white cloth on his lap. His eyes were blank, his spirit heavy. People came and went, whispering condolences, but he barely responded. "She didn't even get to see her child," his brother muttered. The baby wriggled, letting out a tiny cry. Chinedu looked down at her, torn between grief and blame. From that day the girl was named Adaeze, meaning daughter of a king, but no one ever treated her like one. The sound of laughter returned to the compound, but it wasn't Adaeze. Chinedu had remarried. Her name was Ngozi, young, beautiful, and seemingly kind. But behind her smiles were eyes that watched Adaeze with quiet disgust. "Why does she always look dirty?" Ngozi asked one evening, pointing to Adaeze who was squatting by the fire, roasting maize. "She's just a child," Chinedu replied absent-mindedly. Ngozi scoffed. "A child that killed her mother." Adaeze looked up, confused. "Killed?" Ngozi sneered and walked away. Those words echoed in Adaeze's mind every night after. Over time, Ngozi's hatred grew more visible. Adaeze slept on the cold mud floor with only a piece of rag to cover her. She was denied food unless she finished all the house chores, sometimes scrubbing the compound with bare hands until her fingers bled. "Why are you so slow? Didn't they give you brain in your mother's womb?" Ngozi snapped one morning, hurling a broom at her. "Chinedu?" He stayed silent. He buried himself in his work, refusing to see, refusing to hear. Adaeze learned not to cry. She learned silence. Her only friend was an old mango tree near the back fence, where she often sat alone, hugging her knees and wondering if her mother ever loved her. One night, as Adaeze sat under the mango tree, the wind rustled its branches in a strange rhythm. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Mama, are you there?" Suddenly, a mango dropped beside her. It wasn't ripe. It hadn't been windy. But it fell. She picked it up and hugged it to her chest. For the first time in years, she smiled. Absolutely. Here's the continuation of the story. It was Adaeze's 7th birthday, but no one in the house remembered. Or maybe, they chose to forget. That morning, she watched from a corner as Chinedu handed a brand new doll to Ngozi's 3-year-old daughter, Olaido. "For my princess," he said, lifting Olaido into his arms. Adaeze looked at her worn-out slippers and swallowed the sadness in her throat. She had never been carried. Never been called princess. The doll had soft curly hair and glassy blue eyes. As Chinedu turned away, Adaeze reached out gently to touch it. "Don't you dare touch my daughter's toy," Ngozi hissed, slapping her hand away. Adaeze nodded slowly. "Sorry, Ma." She returned to her corner, her shadow stretching longer than her body. Adaeze's daily routine was brutal. Before the sun rose, she would fetch water from the stream, sweep the compound, wash plates, cook pap for Olaido, and then head to school in worn-out clothes. At school she stayed quiet. Other pupils laughed, played, told stories, but Adaeze only listened. Her classmates whispered behind her back. "She always looks hungry. Her hair is full of sand. She smells like firewood." Still, Adaeze sat in the front row, clutching her tattered book like it was her shield. Her teacher, Miss Chisholm, noticed the bruises on her arms. "Adaeze," she said one afternoon after class, "are you okay?" Adaeze nodded too quickly. "Yes, Auntie." But her eyes were begging someone to ask again, and mean it. One day, while cleaning Ngozi's room, Adaeze stumbled upon an old box tucked under the bed. Curiosity got the better of her. She opened it and found letters, dozens of them, addressed to Chinedu. They were written by Adaeze's real mother. Her hands trembled as she read the first one. If anything happens to me, please promise you'll protect our daughter. Love her for both of us. I feel something strange. If she grows up, let her know I prayed for her every single day. Tears blurred Adaeze's vision. Suddenly Ngozi burst into the room. What are you doing there? Before Adaeze could speak, Ngozi slapped her hard. You touched my things? Thief. Adaeze tried to explain, but Ngozi dragged her outside by the ear and shouted so the neighbors would hear. Come and see. Oh. This girl wants to destroy my marriage. That night, Adaeze was locked in the storeroom without food. Alone in the storeroom, her stomach growling, Adaeze held the letter tightly. She whispered into the dark. Mama, they hate me. But then, a breeze stirred the air. A faint floral scent filled the room, one Adaeze had never smelled before. Then in her mind she heard a calm whisper. Endure, my child. The storm will pass. Adaeze sat up. Her eyes glowed with something new, hope. The next day at school, Miss Chisholm called Adaeze to the staff room. There was a visitor waiting. A woman. Well-dressed. Soft-spoken. I'm Mrs. Eziani from the village social welfare office, the woman said gently. We've received reports about you. Adaeze froze. Reports? From who? Do you want to talk? The woman asked. Adaeze's lips parted but no sound came out. Still her tears did the talking. Miss Chisholm walked over and held her hand. You're not alone anymore. Chinedu was stunned when the social welfare officer, Mrs. Eziani, knocked on their compound gate with Miss Chisholm beside her. Ngozi quickly put on her best smile. Ah, Madam, welcome. Oh. You didn't tell us you were coming. We're here for Adaeze, Mrs. Eziani said, stepping inside. Chinedu walked out slowly, eyes darting between the women. What is this about? He asked. Your daughter, Miss Chisholm replied. She's not safe. Adaeze stood silently behind them, her small hands clenched at her sides. She's fine, Ngozi snapped. She lives here, eats here, goes to school? Eats. Miss Chisholm said sharply, lifting Adaeze's sleeve. Faint scars lined her arm. Ngozi's face dropped. Chinedu looked away. Adaeze's eyes locked on his. Papa, you didn't protect me. Chinedu froze. Something in those words broke him. Later that night, after the officers left with a stern warning and a promise to return, Chinedu called Ngozi into the room. What have you been doing to her? He asked quietly. Ngozi hissed. So you now believe that spirit child? She brought bad luck from the day she was born. She's my daughter. She killed your wife. The silence between them was cold and sharp. She was a baby, he replied, his voice trembling. She didn't choose any of this. Ngozi stormed out, banging the door. Oleito cried from her mat. Adaeze watched from the shadows, and for the first time, Chinedu's eyes met hers with shame. Word spread in the village. Some blamed Ngozi, others whispered that Adaeze had powers, that her mother's spirit must be protecting her. One afternoon, as Adaeze fetched water, a woman from a nearby compound stopped her. You're strong, she said. Don't let their hatred define you. Adaeze stared in surprise. Your mother was loved. You carry that same strength. Don't hide it. The woman walked away, but her words remained like a drumbeat in Adaeze's chest. Miss Chisholm began mentoring Adaeze after school. She gave her books, listened to her stories, and encouraged her to write. Your words are powerful, she said, reading a poem Adaeze wrote titled, If My Mother Could Speak. You've survived more than most adults, she added. Adaeze began to smile more often. She helped her classmates. Her teachers noticed her brilliance. She placed first in the school's debate contest, shocking even the headmaster. Chinedu came to watch her one afternoon. As she stood on stage, speaking boldly, he wept quietly in the back. My child, he whispered. What have I done? One evening, after a heated argument with Chinedu, Ngozi packed her things. I won't stay in this house where a child rules. She dragged Oleito with her and slammed the gate behind them. Chinedu sat on the ground, dazed. Adaeze watched him. She hated me, she said softly. I allowed it, he replied. There was a long pause. Then he reached out and placed her small hand in his. Forgive me, Adaeze. Please. She nodded, but tears poured from her eyes. After years of silence, her soul had found its first peace. A month had passed since Ngozi left. The house was quieter, peaceful even. One Saturday morning, Chinedu called Adaeze into his room. I want to show you something, he said. He pulled out a dusty box from beneath his bed, the same one Adaeze had secretly opened before. This time he opened it in front of her. Inside were faded photographs, letters, and a necklace with a tiny wooden carving. "That's your mother?" he said, handing her a photograph. In the picture, Neka smiled brightly, her arms around a pregnant belly. "She loved you, Adaeze. She prayed for you every night before you were born. I lost my mind after her death." Adaeze traced her mother's face with trembling fingers. She couldn't speak. She didn't need to. Her eyes were overflowing with words. Chinedu handed her one final letter, sealed and never opened. "She wrote this for you. I couldn't bear to read it then." Adaeze opened the envelope slowly. "My precious Adaeze, if you're reading this, then I'm no longer with you. But don't be afraid. You were born with light in your soul. The world may be cruel, but never let it turn your heart cold. One day the same pain that tried to break you will give birth to your strength. And that strength will lift others. I'm always with you, Mama." Adaeze held the letter against her chest, and for the first time she truly believed she was loved. Weeks later, a car pulled into their compound. A woman stepped out, well-dressed, with a confident posture and bright smile. "I'm Dr. Ifeananya," she said. "I run a foundation in Lagos for girls from broken homes. We heard Adaeze's story through Miss Chisholm." Adaeze blinked in shock. "Me?" "Yes," the woman smiled. "We'd like to offer you a scholarship and mentorship." Chinedu looked at his daughter, stunned. "You've been noticed, my child. You're being seen." Adaeze was speechless. She had only just started finding her voice, and now the world wanted to hear it? The night before leaving for Lagos, Adaeze sat beneath her old friend, the mango tree. She whispered softly, "I'm going now, to a new place. But I'll come back someday." As if in reply, a ripe mango fell beside her. She smiled and picked it up just like she did when she was 5. But this time she wasn't a scared little girl. She was Adaeze, the daughter of a woman who loved deeply, and a survivor of cruelty who had chosen to heal. Lagos was noisy, fast, and full of strange lights. But Adaeze adjusted quickly. She made new friends. She wrote for the school magazine. She performed spoken-word poetry. And every piece she performed had one central theme: hope. Dr. Ifeananya watched her from the crowd one evening and whispered, "She doesn't even know yet, she's going to change lives." Adaeze didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But she had finally learned how to live. The streets of Onitsha were still as dusty and crowded as they'd always been. But this time, a black SUV pulled into the market square. A tall, elegant young woman stepped out, dressed in native Ankara with braided hair wrapped in gold thread. It was Adaeze, now 18. She walked with confidence. The villagers stared. Whispers followed her like the wind. "Is that not Chinedu's daughter? The one Ngozi used to maltreat? She's the one they said went to Lagos?" But Adaeze didn't walk with bitterness. She walked with grace. She had returned, not to show off but to give back. Meanwhile, at a small rented room behind the market, Ngozi sat on a plastic chair, fanning her now weak body. Life had turned on her. After she left Chinedu, the man she ran to abandoned her. Her daughter, Olaido, had dropped out of school and she now sold sachet water on the street. They barely had enough to eat. When Ngozi heard people whispering about Adaeze's return, shame crawled over her skin. "She's back?" she asked Olaido. "Yes, in a big car. She's helping girls in the village now." Ngozi looked away. Guilt is a silent disease. It eats from the inside. That evening, the village town hall was packed. Adaeze stood before dozens of young girls, mothers, and village elders. Her voice echoed strong and steady. "This foundation is for every girl who has ever felt invisible. For every child who was told she wasn't enough. For anyone who ever cried in silence. You're not weak. You're not cursed. You are rising." The crowd erupted in applause. Some cried. Others cheered. Chinedu sat in the front row, eyes misty with pride. Adaeze had not only survived her pain, she had used it as fuel. Later that night, as the town hall emptied, there was a knock on Adaeze's door. She opened it. It was Ngozi. Her face was tired. Her clothes faded. I came to say something." Adaeze said nothing, only stepped aside. Ngozi entered and stood silently. "I wronged you," she said, her voice cracking. "I poured my bitterness into you. I blamed you for something that wasn't your fault. And now, life has punished me more than I ever imagined." Adaeze looked at her. "You hurt me," she replied gently. "You broke me in ways words can't describe. But I won't carry that pain forever." Ngozi lowered her head. "I forgive you," Adaeze said quietly. "But I won't forget. Because remembering helps me protect other girls like me." Ngozi burst into tears. Adaeze handed her a food pack and an envelope. It's not revenge I brought back home. It's purpose. Back under the old mango tree, Adaeze sat with her journal, looking at the stars above her. Mama, I wish you could see me now. I used to think I was born to be hated. But now I know. I was born to heal. I was born to rise. I was born to be light. She closed the journal. A breeze blew gently through the leaves. And this time she wasn't just smiling. She was glowing. Moral lesson. No pain is wasted. Even the darkest suffering can give birth to the brightest light, if we choose healing over hatred and purpose over revenge. Thank you for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos like this.